Now, if generational wealth planning is important to you, it is something that needs to be taken into account within your financial plan. I am Tiaan Herselman, the Head of Advice at Old Mutual Wealth. What does generational wealth mean to you? Generational wealth is something many of us aspire to. For some, it means leaving a financial legacy for their kids after they've passed on. However, for others, it means at a minimum, giving their kids a head start with the potential of owning a property or vehicle purchase or providing them with a tertiary education. It could also mean contributing to something that's very close to your heart, such as charities, partnering with organizations that share similar values with you, or starting a trust for a cause of your own. It might even mean that you would like to help forward research in a particular field that is very close to your heart. Or perhaps you just want to have peace of mind knowing that you will not be reliant on your kids or parents someday for financial support, and you also don't want them to be reliant on you. You might even have bigger ambitions, such as setting up a family trust to help provide for generations to come, even when you are no longer around someday. This all forms part of your generational wealth goals. How does your financial plan support generational wealth? Now, if generational wealth planning is important to you, it is something that needs to be taken into account within your financial plan. Now, for most of us, this is much easier said than done, as just over 1 in 3 South Africans are wedged into the sandwich generation. And it's estimated that half of working class South Africans have no financial plan, and 1 in 5 say that their financial plan is very vague. Only 1 in 12 working class South Africans have a well thought through financial plan that they are actually currently executing. And the situation isn't much better abroad, as a study conducted in Canada in 2017 found that only 1 in 4 people have a full strategy in place to transfer their wealth to the next generation, while 1 in 3 indicated they have done absolutely nothing at all to prepare for the passing on wealth to the next generation. So the question then to you is, how are you planning for your wealth goals in your financial plan, specifically with regards to building up generational wealth? A question that most of us are faced with on the daily or every year when we consider our finances. So how can we simplify financial planning down into just 4 numbers? The reason most people fail to plan for their financial future, or they don't build up generational wealth, is due to the fact that they fail to plan. And in all honesty, can you blame them? Financial planning can be complex at the best of times. There are so many different variables that you need to consider when planning for your financial future, such as different investment structures, tax implications, expense patterns, regulations, asset types, just to mention but a few. And today we have access to so much information at our fingertips, but navigating through the detail can be quite overwhelming for most of us as we try and build up generational wealth. However, if one looks through all the detail and noise, you can break down any financial plan into just 4 numbers, whether you have 100 Rand or 100 million to invest. These numbers are as follows. Number 1, your available assets. Here we look at your pension funds, your business properties, your savings, or any investment assets that you might have. Number 2, your desired lifestyle. What do you want this asset base to provide for someday? Number 3, your return. What return can you expect on this particular asset base? And then we get to number 4, your longevity. How long can this asset base support your ideal lifestyle? Now, the good news is you can work out any one of these 4 numbers as long as you know what the other 3 are. Let's consider a practical example. Let's take Sam. Sam is 40 years old, and the first number in his plan, the asset number, well, we know Sam saves 10,000 Rand per month into a retirement annuity. Now we get to the second number, his ideal lifestyle. Sam would like the investment to provide him with an income of 30,000 Rand after tax in retirement from age 60 onwards. Then we get to the third number, the return. Sam's portfolio is estimated to achieve a return of 3% above inflation based on the underlying assets he's invested into. And then we get to the fourth and the last number, longevity. Now that we know what the first two numbers are in Sam's plan, we can calculate how long this money could potentially last. We can also look at it the other way around. Let's do this in reverse. So let's start now not with number 1, let's start with number 4, longevity. Let's assume Sam wanted to sustain this lifestyle for 40 years in retirement after age 60. Let's then again look at number 3, the return. Again, Sam's portfolio is estimated to achieve a return of 3% above inflation. Then we get down to number 2, the ideal lifestyle. Sam would like the investment to provide him with an income of 30,000 Rand per month after tax in retirement. And then we get to the first number again, the assets. Again, now that we know what the first two numbers are in Sam's plan, we can calculate how much he would need to save and into which investment type to sustain the ideal lifestyle. You can think of each of these 4 numbers as buttons or levers in your financial plan. By pressing each of these buttons, you can see the impact on your financial plan in real time. Now, it's important to note that these 4 numbers are unique for all of us, as we are all different. We have our own unique goals, dreams, and aspirations. What are some of the triggers for each of the 4 numbers that you should take into account? For the first number, the assets. Here we look at all of the following. We look at saving more versus saving less. We even consider different investment types, such as retirement funds versus more liquid investments, such as tax-free investments or direct share portfolios. And we look at the tax implications both pre and post-retirement. We consider guaranteed versus market-linked investments. And we also look at how much do you draw from each particular asset before and after retirement to fund your lifestyle goals, and how does that impact your liquidity, your access to capital. We consider investing into property versus investing into investments or business assets. We look at paying off debt versus investing, and we even look at different legal entities such as trusts. And we also consider whether you should be investing locally or offshore. Then we get to the second number, probably the most important one, your lifestyle. And here we look at spending less or spending more, setting aside capital for emergencies, and we even look at planning for capital items such as holidays, vehicle purchases, offshore travel, to name but a few. We take into account whether you'd like to own a second property or holiday home. And we also look at the impact of inflation, example, medical aid inflation, and modeling different inflation patterns. We consider the impact of frail care and also specific generational wealth goals such as savings for your kids and building up a legacy for them whilst you are still alive or upon your passing. We even consider different spending patterns as you go older. In some cases, you'll be spending more while you're still younger versus spending more in your later years. Then we get to the third number, the return. When you look at the return of your asset base, we consider all of the following: taking on less risk versus taking on more risk, the impact of different asset classes such as equities versus cash, the return on your non-investment assets such as properties or even business assets, the impact of volatility, which is upward or downward movements over the short term and long term. And then we get to the last number, longevity. Here we consider important questions, or we take into account the following: whether you want to prioritize leaving a legacy versus funding your lifestyle while you're still alive and in retirement, how long you would want to have your ideal lifestyle funded, and planning for longer versus shorter term of funding your financial goals. And then what does your family longevity look like? And then what does your overall health look like? A good financial plan is one where you understand how these different variables impact your 4 numbers, how they work together, and it actually empowers you to make real-time decisions and understand the impact of your decisions today on your financial future. Now, one question and one question only. Do you know what the 4 numbers are in your financial plan?